Steel and Stormbright, The Curse of the Star Wraiths, an exciting sword and sorcery adventure about two brothers trying to make their way in a harsh world. Link in the description.
Me Grimlock kick butt!
Greetings, salutations, and other big words. My name's Ethan. My handle is Wrangler. Welcome to Frequency Studios, weekly wing it number 92 here on Rumble and YouTube. And starting off with us tonight is Frederick Guimon.
How you doing, everybody?
What you working on tonight?
Tonight I'm working on a commission by James. This is Glimmer Leaf sliding down a dune in the desert, and she's jumping up on the second dune there, getting an extra lift, and she's on a sort of a tarp in the desert, and she's not dressed yet, so I'm at that phase of the drawing. She won't be nude in the final version, rest assured.
Now I'm imagining, remember the Disney Tarzan where he's like surfing down the tree limbs and everything?
Oh yeah, I love that animation on Tarzan was great.
Yeah. And also with us tonight is Raven Nevermore.
Hey, what's up? I've been reading the book that was presented in the video tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, I'm still about halfway through it. I'm getting through it slowly because I'm working on a bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah, I know how that is. There's a few books I'm trying to get through, and then I got to stop and read another book for research, work on my own stuff. You know, all that fun stuff that you're juggling right now.
Yeah,
and also with us is Maji Chan.
Hello, how are you?
Doing pretty good. And in the chat tonight, we got Christina. How you doing tonight, Christy? Yeah, so in a little while, we are going to be discussing Transformers 1. I actually got off my butt and went to a theater and watched a movie. I haven't done that in quite a while. Last time I did that was... Well, actually, no, I have done that recently. I did that for Deadpool, and I did that for Mario. So I actually don't get to the theaters too often. I'm actually kind of happy to talk about this one. It was better than I was expecting.
How packed was the room?
It was a fairly decent sized crowd. Now I'll full disclosure, I did skip out on the end credit scene. I figured there's an end credit scene because when I got up to leave, nobody else was. But I needed to go to the bathroom and I was having a nick fit, so I left. I figured I could catch the end credit scene. Someone's going to post it on YouTube or something somewhere soon, and if not, I'll see it on video. And if this still doesn't pop up there, I'm sure Maji could tell us about it when we get to spoilers. Maji, did you see the end credit scenes?
There wasn't really anything really big deal.
Okay.
So you didn't miss much.
I figured there had to be because Marvel did set that trend. And when nobody was leaving the theater when I got up, I'm like, yep, there's an end.
There's just a little one, but it's bit of a gag than anything. So it does like 2 seconds. So
Is it been like the cat videos I've been seeing lately when let's see, what's a meme? Something about the end of the movie and you think the hero's dead and then it twitches.
Sorry about the echo. I went to check the Rumble chat and it started playing over there. I don't know if you guys
so
can
what it is well, I might as well just tell you. So the end credit scene, you saw the one where Megatron starts branding everyone, right?
No, that's what I didn't see.
Okay, so yeah, Megatron puts the Decepticon symbol on Soundwave and Starscream. And then there was a second end credit scene where Bumblebee runs back to his basement. And he's like, guys.
That I saw. I saw the end tag, but not the after credit.
Yeah, so that's what it was I couldn't remember which one came first, was Bumblebee being Bumblebee or if it was Megatron branding, but basically it was the Rise of the Decepticons.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the one I didn't see. But I had thoughts on Bumblebee, and those thoughts have actually changed.
My
And
thoughts were on Orion and Alita, but that's just me.
oh yeah, I have thoughts on all that too. But I mean, I had a particular thoughts on Bumblebee, and then after it settled in a little bit over the day, it changed. So I'm glad I didn't come on here and start yapping about it like instantly out of the theater. Once things settled in and my thoughts organized, I was like, okay, I thought this was a problem. I'm kind of changing my own mind on it the more I think about it. I'll explain that when we get into the discussion.
I don't quite like how. Can we go into spoilers? What? Are we ready for spoilers?
Well, I figure we're going to want to do a regular discussion on it first, and I thought we'd wait till a few more folks show up who want to hear about the movie. Also, anybody in the chat that's on the the Discord, if you guys saw the movie and you want to get in on the discussion, let me know, and I'll send you the link.
I seen a Transformers movie.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I want to hear your first thoughts on that because it's been ages since I've seen the movie, and I don't remember the first time I saw it.
I sat down and watched it with Sonnet last year. She had never seen it before. Her favorite movie growing up was The Little Mermaid. Mine was Transformers, so we sat down and did a back-to-back. We watched them both. And halfway through the movie, Sonnet looked over at me and goes, "Did you ever think it's kind of weird that they're getting inside each other?" I said, "Yeah, it kind of is an odd thought." But James, you saw the Transformers, the movie, the 1986 version, or as I often refer to it, the real one. What'd you think?
Oh, man, where do I begin? I mean, there's a reason I reached out and said we need to do a Transformers stream because there's a lot of thoughts on this one. First off, I went in kind of blind. I seen a scene here or there. I love the music. But I didn't realize that when they say it's one gigantic commercial, it really is. It's like, it starts off with action that just does not end. And the opening action sequence is downright horrific, yet intriguing.
Yeah, some of it was nightmare fuel.
It was, and then weird shit kept happening. That's the best way I can say it. It's like you have a robot. It's like, oh, there's a signal coming in, and then he turns into a freaking boom box.
That sound wave.
And then another one.
Yeah.
Another one turns into like essentially just a processing computer they could enter a chip into that connects to a computer. And then Megatron turns into a pistol and ends up in someone else's.
That was the original 1980s G1.
Yeah.
It had all those toys.
It's insanity. It's complete insanity. It's just a bunch of this random shit I didn't know was going to happen next. It's like cassette player robots inside boombox robots that would jump out and back them up in fights. And
the Minicons.
Yeah.
If that's
it wasn't the Minicons, it was a cassette. It was Ravage, Rumble, all them, and then Blaster.
Technically, you know what's cool is I actually have a little mini Ravage that's a working USB. So instead of a tape, he turns into a USB and he works.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was insanity. It was an acid trip, or what I'd imagine an acid trip to be. And I had no idea what the hell was going to happen next. And it was just an endless action sequence and almost like mini music videos.
Yes.
Inside. Like it would play the entirety of a song. Like the song would start, the fight would start. The song would end, the fight would end. Like,
and now you understand what set the pattern for how my brain works. Because I saw that at 11 years old in the theater. I had followed season 1, season 2. I was all into it. I went in there and I was like, oh, I can't wait. And then I saw all my favorite characters brutally murdered, like almost immediately.
In the first 5 minutes.
Oh! Yeah. So much of them died.
But that's real. That's how. Well, dear, they killed Ironhide? No.
Mine was Prowl. I was devastated when I
Oh,
saw
that
Prowl
that
die.
that was heartbreaking the way he went down. And it wasn't the most gruesome, but it was just
Prowl's
yeah,
always
it,
been my
it was
favorite.
it was kind of hellish the way it looked.
Oh yeah.
But
And then,
then
like I
Braun
said,
goes
Prowl's
down with
always
a
been my
shoulder
favorite.
shot. I couldn't buy that. Braun going down with it by a shoulder shot. I mean,
See-
Braun, I've seen Braun in the episodes take far bigger beating than that. It's Braun, he's as
Yeah.
tough as they come.
I didn't know any of the characters. All I saw was a bunch of robots murdering each other, just going at it, getting blasted left and right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy.
and then, well, spoilers for the 1986 version. When they killed Prime, I was like, "Oh no, he'll be back. And then they get to the Junkions and they saw them like revive Ultra Magnus. I'm like, yeah, now they're gonna go get Prime and things are really gonna pop up. And the movie ended and they never went and got Prime or fixed him. I'm like,
And that's where our childhood
on the movie
died.
poster, Prime was shooting at Unicron. Prime died before they got the. They lied to me.
Yeah, so that was an interesting watch, that's for sure. I'm not sure I remember it all. It's kind of a blur.
I remember the one of the movie trailers said the movie is so intense you got to see it twice to take it all in.
You probably do. Because I didn't even know the characters. There was like, whoa, okay, now they're introducing more and more and more. And as soon as they show up, like, you see the T-Rex come out and it's just badass music, badass intro. He comes in and then he gets punched in the face and then he's out. I'm like, oh, what, really? It's busted.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with how quick the Dinobots went down because they're technically supposed to be tougher than that.
Budget cuts.
Yes, probably. I seen, there was also some issues with the cuts along the way, which I thought would probably just like an issue with the times, or they just clipping it down to keep it within a particular length. But it was definitely an interesting watch.
Yeah. Hey, Readout, thanks for stopping in, man. I know you've
Readout.
had a
We
lot
missed
on
you.
your plate lately.
I'll probably watch it again. And I can see how kids can easily be entertained by this because it's non-stop action. It really is non-stop action.
And a lot of sarcasm.
And it's better than the Bayverse movies. Sorry.
The Bayformers were just. I honestly think the Bayformers is what killed the franchise.
You think so?
That nonstop blink and you'll miss half of it movie from '86 had more character development than anything in Bayformers.
Well, okay, think about it. So I saw something the other
I actually wouldn't go that
yesterday. Clownfish TV did a segment on how the new Transformer movie was expected to do 30 mil or higher. It didn't even hit that. They practically killed the franchise.
Well, it's probably like I heard a lot of people say Bumblebee was the best live action Transformers they did. I still have not seen it. That's how apathetic I became to the franchise with all the
Bayformers, as in the Michael Bay Transformers, but we refuse to call them Transformers. They're Bayformers.
Bayformers. Hollywood shills in the sky.
Is it because when they
Pretty
combine, they make a big Michael Bay robot?
Well, worse, they put balls on Devastator.
Yeah,
After I finally reached a point where I'm just accepting this is a completely messed up continuity, I did find that funny.
I'm under.
Bumblebee
Oh,
Once I was able to disconnect that from what I consider Transformers and I saw that, I did laugh.
Bumblebee was probably the only like big character that I enjoyed and stuff, and with Bayformers it was like, okay, whatever. I
they
don't.
turned
I'm
him
not
into
interested in that
Herbie.
movie.
Well,
That was
it's not even that. The Bayformers Bumblebee is actually Hotshot. It's not Bumblebee. His
Yeah, good
personality
point.
wasn't B.
I kind of noticed that as well in the cartoon. He reminded me more of Bumblebee than anything else. Like, oh, there's a Bumblebee-ish character, and the actual Bumblebee was like captured and then gonna die, and they rescue him at the end.
Now, the original
Yeah.
G1 Bumblebee, his personality was very much like Spider-Man's, believe it or not. And the
Mhm.
reason for
Very
that is
energetic,
probably
very
because the
attention
voice
span.
actors. But yeah, Bumblebee's personality is very similar to classic Spider-Man's personality.
Probably why I liked him so much.
And
That and
it
the
helps that the voice actor who did Bumblebee in G1 was the voice of Spider-Man in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon show. So he was kind of just playing it the same way.
Did
And
did they have a direct sequel to the movie?
season 3 of the cartoon show.
Okay.
Which killed the franchise the first time
All
around.
right. Really? Why is that? Because everyone was dead?
Yeah. They killed
They were
everyone
forced
off.
to bring Prime back.
Yeah,
Well, of
they killed
course.
everyone off that the fans liked, and then nobody liked Rodimus, who was the new leader. It was to the point where Rodimus would actually kept going to Ultra Magnus for advice, listen to his advice, completely ignore it, do the exact opposite, and can't figure out why he kept getting in trouble.
Wow.
I actually I liked Hot Rod. I didn't like him as Rodimus, and for exactly the
Rodimus
reasons
was-
you stated.
yeah.
They portrayed him much better in the movie when they got back to the next season. It's like they kept rehashing the same thing over and over again, and it's like
And
you had
kids lost
potential with them.
interest.
You had potential with them, and you just kind of didn't do anything. You ran them into the ground real quick.
So what happened with G1 is they made it to season 4. They brought Optimus Prime back and they ended it right in the middle of season 4 because they just weren't getting people to watch it. However, it picked up in Japan because Japan thought it was the most amazing thing ever. And just at that same time, I believe Gundam was starting to become a thing. Something
I'm not
like that.
sure. Yeah, from what
I
I
don't know
haven't
what
seen
came
the
first.
Japanese ones, but pretty much season 4, I think it was only 2 episodes called Rebirth, part 1, part 2. And then they got nothing more past that. But Japan picked it up, did
And
season 4, they ignored Rebirth, did their own season 4, and then they went on for another few seasons, which from what I hear was fairly successful over there.
well, then they ended up with 4 off series of the Transformers: Victory, Godhead, and I forgot what the third one is. I have it somewhere, but those got released in the U.S. actually about 10 years ago to buy, but they're all in Japanese. But yeah, no, Transformers only survived because Japan fell in love with them, and then they actually held them long enough. They ended up even with the Beast Wars Neo, and then once Beast Wars Neo was like a major hit in Japan, they brought Beast Wars to the US with the computer animation. It was one of the first computer animated shows on TV.
Yeah, I
I've
saw
seen
that.
Yeah, that's probably my first introduction to the series. Was
I
Beast
wasn't sure if I was very impressed or not because I think part of it felt confusing because I remember, the trucks and cars and stuff, and then suddenly they're dinosaurs or something.
Well, that's because Beast Wars Neo was the in between the Transformers and the like the Autobots and the Maximals and all of that. But that was never released in the US. That was strictly a Japanese Generation 2 thing. Every now and then you can find episodes on YouTube that's in Japanese with the English translation, but it was never released in the US. And then so when Beast Wars became released, they actually ended up going through time and like, oh yeah, well, we're stranded on this planet. There's no technology. We're going to learn animals instead.
And pretty much they took on forms that were working on that planet. And it turned out they weren't sure what they were going to do with it, but it turned out they ended up bringing it into the continuity of the original show. And in the original show in G1, oh, by the way, hail Andrew Campbell and hail Fu Man Blue.
Also, we got to keep in mind there's about 20 years worth of comics because the Transformers comics still went on past the show, but I didn't actually get a chance to read any of those ones. The original.
I guess that was part of my other confusion was because, wasn't a huge reader of it, but I would see the comic book around and stuff, and so I was like, they still had like Optimus Prime and some of the other ones and stuff on, at least from what I remember of covers and such. And then suddenly there's the cartoon with the Beast Wars stuff, and I was,
Yeah. Well, what happened
Yeah.
in the original series, in the first episode, Autobots, Decepticons are fighting. They're on the ship. It crash landed on a planet, which was Earth, and they were all lying there dormant for, I think it was 4 million years.
Something
And,
like that.
and then,
Yeah.
yeah, and then some volcanic activity from the mountain that they were crashed in the side of jostled things around. The ship reactivated and started waking up the Cybertronians. But with Beast Wars, that was actually in the future, past all of the everything we know of G1, and it was after what they call the Great Upgrade, and they got flung into the past, crashed on the planet,
got
and
pulled
when they
into a
decided they were
wormhole.
going to, when they decided they were going to tie it in with G1, it turned out they were on Earth, and the original guys, they were already there dormant in their ship. So the Transformers we all knew were already there, just unconscious. It was before they all woke up. And that's how they tied it in. But yeah, Fu, we're talking I think Fu just asked.
Talking some formers. That's
Oh,
another
no,
thing.
it was Andrew who asked what's
Ooh,
happening. Yeah,
we're showing our nerds here.
Yeah,
we're
talking Transformers tonight, and in a little bit, once everybody's made their way in, we're going to discuss Transformers 1.
I've recently saw the very first Transformers movie from the 80s. They saw Transformers 1. And one thing I was surprised by is completely new to the franchise. I thought it was like you had your Autobots and your Decepticons, and then slowly everybody else would be introduced. Maybe it was in the show, I don't know. But in the movie, it was just your Autobots, Decepticons, freaking bug monster mofos. These guys, those guys, they're all their separate Trons and Cons and Formers. I was like, dang, y'all sold a lot of toys.
See, Andrew Campbell gets it. When it comes to Transformers, I think technically there's only G1, Season 1 and 2, and the 1986 movie. I'm
Dude,
right
I
there
know
with
a
you.
bunch of useless shit.
I mean, I did watch the Prime series. That was all right. But I got to say, Transformers 1 is probably the best Transformers thing I have seen come out since G1, I think. My opinion only.
I did like the Cybertron trilogy. Not so much Energon. Transformers Energon sucked, but the Armada and the Transformers Cybertron, because they were 3 trilogy combined, they weren't terrible.
No, not at all. There was a lot to like about that. But in fact, the writing was far better than the G1, if we're going to be honest.
Well, but
I'm nostalgic for G1, but what came out in Transformers 1 was one of the best written things I've seen from Transformers in a long time. Keep in mind, I haven't gone through all the comics and stuff. Maji is far more versed on all this stuff than I am.
But I mean, here's the thing though. G1, some of you know this because I've talked about it in the past. So I sat in a panel at Fan Expo where they had one of the original G1 cartoon creators for Hasbro, and then they had a current IWD or DIW, whatever the hell the comic book is that was doing them at the time, which is not doing them anymore. But so in that panel, you found out that Generation 1 Transformers was literally made weekly. So Hasbro would present a toy and say, okay, we need to sell this toy this week. So add him in here somehow. But they were literally making the cartoon, editing it, creating a script all within a week. And that in itself shows just how well the Transformers show, G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, all of those 80s cartoons were all designed that way. So there's a little bit of inconsistencies and like a little bit of shallowing out. Like, the first season the Transformers could build each other and call it good, but in the second season it became a lot more elaborate and stuff, is because they had time to, okay, let's develop this more instead of just one episode to the next, because they realized, oh wait, this is becoming more than just a TV commercial.
That's freaking amazing.
Yeah,
I
and
love that.
so I do have to take my hats off to them on that, because when they don't know what they're going to be able to write about next, it's going to be difficult to try and keep things in order.
But I mean, think about it. The very first pilot episode of Transformers, I don't know if, well, I know James hasn't seen it, but the very first pilot episode, the Autobots could fly. All they had to do was reach their hands in the air and fly like Superman. But then after that, they stopped being able to fly. That's because they're like, wait a second, let's make a distinction here. So the jets can fly for obvious reasons because they're jets. And so that became a distinction between the Autobots and Decepticons, was so that they could use Skyfire as a way to fly around. So the more they introduced these different toys and designs, the more they were able to grow the show and think more about it. Like the introduction of Sparks and stuff was their idea of a soul, or the T-Cogs, or just stuff like that.
Yeah, the Dreamwave comics, Andrew, were absolutely gorgeous for the character art. Those guys were perfectly on model. He says, when it comes to the comics, I have Dreamwave comics, a couple of the IDW, and the new Image.
Mhm.
Interesting.
The only thing good to come out of IDW, I'd have to say, was the Drift miniseries, but I like Drift, so.
Yeah, and on our Transformers stream, you gave me the whole breakdown on that, because I was completely unfamiliar with this character. Then I saw him in Transformers.
They did him so dirty in that movie.
Which one
The
was it? It was the
Bayformer.
fourth one.
Yeah, they did him so wrong.
I had no idea. I just thought he was this cool samurai guy. I didn't know all of his backstory. I thought he was a completely new character here. I had never heard of him before.
No, he's a comic. Well, he's a newer character, but he was born out of the comics. Yes, he is kind of that samurai trope, last samurai trope, where he gets injured, he gets captured, and has to learn how to re-deal with life. His body gets rebuilt, but he finds purpose. There's a reason why those tropes still exist. And the
Because when
fourth
done right, they're
Bayformer
awesome.
movie, yeah, the fourth Bayformer movie didn't capture any of that. They made him some bumbling old samurai, like, idiot with two apprentices that were annoying as shit.
But then
he
I don't
didn't
know
have
what people
apprentices.
think about this one, but Crosshairs in that movie, I liked him the best. He actually had a personality. It's like, okay, and I liked that movie better than the previous Bayformers, because it actually did show character interaction amongst the Cybertronians, not just all about the humans running around under their feet.
Well, then Transformers Rise of the Beast was just annoying as hell. That one was bad.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry I sent you to that, Maji. I found this like 3-minute video from Comic Book Cast 2, and he was saying how this is like respectful to G1 and and so I sent that video to Maji. She got excited, went and watched it, and turned out not she didn't have the same opinion as Armin. Let's put it that way.
No, it was bad. And what was weird is it didn't make sense, because it was supposed to be a prequel to the Bayformers, which they had the traditional looks that we liked, but they didn't have any of the personalities. They didn't have anything, and it started out with a bunch of racist slurs and comments. It was stupid.
All the
If you
Bay
have to wonder
movies
why
are
the
the Grizzly.
franchise is dead.
I think Maji is going to be our Transformers gatekeeping litmus test.
No,
Well,
no.
She'd be good at it.
No. Besides, after the freaking All Spark series or whatever the hell the newest one was on Paramount, I kind of stopped caring.
I didn't even see any of that.
Well, that's
All-
the one
all
with
I
the
heard it was-
non-binary
they
transformer,
had-
and then
Activist bot or Activistron or whatever in there talking about pronouns. I'm like, this does not belong. It's just,
yeah. I'm sorry, you cannot say on a kids show if they don't use pronouns, you don't know if you could trust them.
all right, Christy. Thanks for
All right,
stopping in.
sorry,
Good luck with
Christina.
that.
Hopefully, I didn't get. Yeah, sorry. Most people aren't into Transformers.
No, she's having issues with her internet.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody likes the Transformers song.
Well, but here's the frustrating part. If Rise of the Beast was done right, it would have actually helped because the way the Rise of the Beast ended, they put in a plug to G.I. Joe. So they could have easily done a crossover. But because Rise of the Beast was done so poorly and such bullshit, that they probably end up killing both franchises.
And if they're going to do it right, they would have to have whoever's voicing Starscream play Cobra Commander. R.I.P.
Where
Chris
did,
Latta.
anybody here a G.I. Joe fan? Would you
Oh
think
yeah,
of the G.I.
I'm
Joe
a big
film?
time GI Joe fan.
What do you guys
Again-
think of the G.I. Joe films?
Didn't care for them.
I
They
didn't
felt
watch
like
all
an
of them.
8-year-old wrote them.
Yeah,
I saw the cartoon series in the 80s and the movie with the Rise of Cobra La. But again, that movie was affected by Transformers the movie because they had no idea when they killed off Prime in that movie that there would be such a backlash for killing that character. So they went in and re-scripted something, re-recorded a few lines because originally, Scarlet, yes.
Nice.
Originally, Duke was supposed to die in that scene where he took the spear to the heart, and then they were supposed to say he's gone, but instead they said he's gone into a coma because they didn't want to get the backlash of killing off Duke after they lost Prime.
Yeah, I wasn't as impressed with the G.I. Joe movies. I mean, they were okay, but
yeah, same here. I did like some of the designs, like I forget what the name of it was. I can't even remember the name of the movies, but there was one that had good costumes and good aspects to it, but none of them are really faithful to the original material and characters, and they change unnecessary things at times.
yeah, I was excited to see like the Baroness, and then I don't think that was anything like her.
Yeah. I part of it felt like an 8-year-old wrote half of it. There's a difference for being for all ages and
Might have been
then
better if it had
having
the
writing. Yeah.
It's a shame because Larry Hama built like such a good foundation for that series because he wrote all the character cards in the back of the toys. It was him that wrote those while he was working for Marvel
okay.
and starting the because he had an artist in house who designed the toys, but he didn't build all their background. That was Larry Hama was the only one who was willing to work on a toy comic book at Marvel. So he got the contract for G.I. Joe, and he had a bit of military background as well. So he just wrote all these code names, where they came from, the city, the whole background of every character was built.
Those
by
were
him.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's basically the lore creator of the franchise.
Lower master.
Yeah, I probably still
Andrew
have.
says the 80s G.I. Joe movie had the best movie intro of all time.
Yeah, man, I rewatched it recently. It
I
is
actually don't
wild.
think I've seen
Yeah.
it. I didn't
It-
know there was an 80s G.I. Joe movie.
It turns
Oh,
into
yes, there
another song.
was.
Like 2 songs, and they're like fighting around the Statue of Liberty. Watch this.
Here it is. I'll probably get dinged. I do have to tread lightly until November 3rd when that strike comes off my channel. So,
Hardy har.
and just interfere in the middle of a big 4th of July celebration.
Well, it's their cover to come down without being noticed,
I think they noticed.
Is that a Bruce Willis character?
No, there was no Bruce Willis in here. But yeah, Sergeant Slaughter, the wrestler from the 80s in WWF,
Yep.
was the same guy voicing Sergeant Slaughter in the series and in this movie. Superhuman strength. He just punched through a windshield like it's like
Yeah.
as easy as he was cracking open a can of soda or something.
And the amount of stuff that's being animated on the screen right now is insane. Like this was all still drawn by hand at the time.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
Well, that's another thing about the 86 movie for Transformers. That was all hand animation, and they had such gorgeous backgrounds in all those space scenes. So what?
The 80s style of cartoons in terms of like the
Oh,
art,
yeah.
the drawing,
The animation, yeah.
I
Yeah,
do too.
yeah.
I miss it greatly. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't see this anymore. Everything's now just CGI. And occasionally they try and emulate hand drawn with their CGI, but even character designs have changed drastically. I missed this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looked kind of realistic.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Man, G.I. Joe would have a vehicle or something, and Cobra would end up duplicating it. And
Cobra.
Cobra would have some new thing, and G.I. Joe would duplicate it.
Sometimes, yeah, you had the Jeep was copied in black.
Yes.
But they didn't cross over everything though. Hardly
Nope.
anything crossed over.
But that was the same company producing G.I. Joe was in Transformers. They were the same company, and
Yep.
and Cobra Commander and Starscream were the exact same guy voice. There are a
Well-
few crossover voices going on there. But
Well,
and
in
Cobra
season
actually
one of-
showed up in one episode of Transformers in season 3.
in the first season of Transformers and the first season of G.I. Joe, if you listen, some of the lines are the exact same because they recorded them and used them for both shows.
Wow. that's
Save some time.
cool.
Save some time, save some money.
It's called efficiency.
Which one are you recording for now? Both. We're doing both at the same time.
No.
Hey, it worked.
Now that's the line he was using for both of them at the same time. Like, no.
No.
We use it 4 times.
What's that scream they use in like every Star Wars movie? That
Oh, the Wilhelm.
yeah, that one. And somebody did a whole bunch of sleuth work to find out where that originated. Finally found who the actor was who did that scream, and when he went and looked it up, that actor he's like, I finally found it. Let's see who it is. I want to contact this guy. Oh, he died a couple years ago. Dang, you know.
Hey, animation. We're talking about 80s animation and cartoon style.
I miss them. They were great. They weren't even really in my generation. I was growing up in the 90s. But, it still lingered about. I saw Batman.
Well, I
Oh
mean,
man, all the toys.
Batman
Sorry.
animated series had the similar art style, just much more intense and darker. And that's still one of the most beloved Batmans ever made.
The animated series.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kevin Conroy will always be the voice of Batman. In my head, anyway. That's the voice I hear when I read a Batman comic. That's the voice in my head, just like Mark Hamill is the voice of the Joker in my head almost every time. How many other Jokers since then have tried to emulate Mark Hamill's voice? Because he nailed it.
Yeah, well, that's because
Too
Mark
bad he's
Hamill is
so
the real
crazy.
Joker.
Yeah, he's a psychopath.
I
Well-
think the Joker role went to his head.
Probably.
I don't think of him as Skywalker. I think of him as Joker. See, animation says I've been watching through the OG Thundercats. A lot of fun. It was a Thundercats, Tiger Sharks, Silverhawks. And I think there was one more. There's like 4
Uh-huh.
series. Like
Yeah, the Silverhawks.
they were just like they're all Thundercats copycats.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Power
along the
Rangers.
line, we ended up getting less like combat based.
Oh
Damn,
gosh, John.
John.
That's good.
Hello, John.
Damn, you were worried about getting hit for freaking G.I. Joe.
Oh man.
Well, it is a
Well-
delicacy.
Well, if you ask him to make that fluffy food spicy, here's how it'll come out. I miss the good old days when my biggest worry about the cat was him knocking the glass off the table.
Just make sure he's not carrying an AK-47 around.
You
Lucky
recommend an
cats, I think they're
AR-15 or what?
exempt from needing to go get a permit because cats don't ask permission. You go to cats for permission. You may pet me now.
Cats aren't required or bound by the laws on carrying.
Did you guys ever watch the old anime? This is one of the Gen 1 animes that, well, it's not really Gen 1, but it was one of the first that came over the US called Samurai Pizza Cats.
That sounds familiar.
It also sounds.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever watched it. I think I probably heard about it. Maybe saw a commercial, but
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
you know-
terrible, but it was one of the first animes. It came over with Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon.
Pizza Cats.
I don't think
I
I've ever
remember-
even heard of it.
I remember Street Sharks. That was on when I was.
Yes, Street Sharks. I do.
animation just mentioned that one.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I was about to say I prefer
started the whole
Turtles
trend.
over Street Sharks.
Yeah.
Street Sharks were definitely competing with the Turtles.
There was a mice one too, a motorcycle mouse or something like that.
Was there? I don't know.
Oh, biker mice from Mars.
That one. I'm like, there was a mice one that with bikes. They're motorcycles.
Yeah, and then they started taking movies. Well, they already did that, but they kept taking movies and turning them into cartoons, like Jumanji, the cartoon, or Godzilla. For some reason, the 1990 something Godzilla movie was turned into a cartoon.
I okay.
Ghostbusters.
Kaiju fan. It hurts me to say this, but I like the '90s Godzilla.
That's okay. Explain yourself. I'm very neutral on it. I'm very neutral. You're not offending me. I'm
Well,
serious.
okay. So in my defense, it was the first Godzilla movie I had ever seen, and it had the coolest toys because it came out actually right around my birthday. So I had this big Godzilla themed birthday party with the coolest toys. One of them would actually hatch out of the egg if you press the button, and well, you wiggle it and it would hatch out. But it was just a lot of fun. And then you got the big Godzilla and the whole army's trying to fight him and blow him up. And then I saw the real Godzillas, the Japanese ones, with the exception of Godzilla is a dad and you're meeting his annoying ass son. They were actually really cool. And then I fell in love with
What's
Kaiju.
wrong with Godzuki? I think that was his
That-
name, right? Godzuki.
That little whiny ass.
Seemed more like Denver the Last Dinosaur, but
The Rambo cartoon.
yes, I remember that. I used to watch that all the time too. They took Rambo and made it a kids cartoon.
Yep.
Yeah,
Same with
yeah,
same
I
with
saw that.
same with
RoboCop.
RoboCop. Yep.
I remember the RoboCop one.
They should have made an Alien versus Predator cartoon. We missed out on
I
that.
don't think that would have gone over too well.
I mean,
Well-
I think maybe not for kids,
Okay.
but today it definitely would be.
Who
cool.
remembers Darkwing Duck?
I do.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was great. That was one of the best.
and then working with Launchpad, and Launchpad didn't crash a whole lot in that.
The animation was really above
Really,
average on that one.
and the sarcasm. I miss when you could have fun and laugh in shows. They don't do that anymore.
Pinky in the brain.
Flaps in the night.
It's weird how we got here because it went from like we had interesting, unique, sarcastic, very visually crazy, and then slowly the visually crazy Teletubbies crap started taking over. Like in my generation, you had things that I enjoyed, but slowly you could kind of see it seep in. Like you had Cat Dog, and then you had shit like Chowder, and then we're kind of where we are now.
The Amazing World of Gumbo or Gumball, whatever the hell you want to call it. I watched one episode of that, and I'm like, there is no way in hell I would let a kid watch this shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are actually kind of adult, or have actually some pretty adult themes in them, and then they have very, very childish animation.
Although I did very much enjoy Animaniacs.
Yes.
And then Pinky in the Brain.
Though there
Love
were
Pinky in the
some
Brain.
episodes.
I think I was in high school for that. And probably the best songs that I keep bringing up are the countries of the world and the capitals of the U.S.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. They're catchy too. That's why they were so good. It actually people would remember it because of that.
Yeah,
Johnny Douglas, what was your jam in the 90s? We already geeked out over Transformers and G.I. Joe. You missed that geek out. The only thing
Well,
we
we're
had
not done with that
geek
geek out
is
yet because we still got to
Digimon?
talk about Transformers 1.
That's what I was all
Digimon
about
was
back
more
then.
2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on the cuff. It was on the cuff.
Gotcha. I mean, we could geek out about the Marvel's X-Men show. That one was really good, but I mean, that got overkilled with 97.
Before we do, can I say one last thing about G.I. Joe comic book?
Yes.
Of course.
I was looking because I buy some of the old ones from time to time, but my favorite one was number 21, which was this. It's known as the silent number because it's where Snake Eyes goes and sees there's the little master and the big master and or hard master, soft master, and all that. And the whole comic is silence because Snake Eyes is mute and it's his story.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
And like it sells in the thousands of dollars now, right?
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
One of the priciest of all the GI Joes. And I just hacked the system. I figured out how I'm going to get it without paying a dime. You want to know how?
How?
I'm going to get the French translated version.
That's funny as hell.
Right.
And
See what you
knowing
did
is
there.
half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Imagine they said that at the end of the live action movie. They kept it as corny.
I would actually appreciate that.
What if they made a live action movie and it was just another episode of G.I. Joe, just extended?
That'd be great.
That'd probably be better.
Yeah.
They even remake the entire opening. The opening's all
I
live
don't
action.
trust any remakes anymore. Not until Hollywood pulls their heads out of their ass.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to it because go take your shot at bat. But right now, yeah, Hollywood is kind of dying. The DEI is all over the place. But if there's like an outlier that wants to tackle it and do it right, because I know there's some directors out there who know how to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, in
I
about
miss Justice League.
7 minutes, we will focus on Transformers 1 because that's kind of the big highlight. We'll be right about it at the hour mark. So
Okay. Justice League was good. Justice League and Teen Titans. Both shows were they were next level.
Teen
Dark
Titans
Oil.
was awesome. I was hooked on that. And then they did the newer Teen Titans, which was just cartoony stuff.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Teen Titans Go? That was
The original Teen Titans was pretty good. But the newer one, I just
Have a good time, Kahuna.
Yeah,
Thanks for
have a
stopping
blast.
in.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now.
I wonder who he's going to see. Be awesome if he was going to a Stan Bush concert. There was a G.I. Joe reboot they did in 2010 called G.I. Joe Renegades. It's pretty good. I think G.I. Joe meets the A-Team.
Huh. Interesting.
I've never heard of that.
Was
Interesting.
that live action
I haven't
or
either.
was that a cartoon?
Or comic.
Does anybody remember the live-action A-Team movie? Or I should say a remake.
I do, and I didn't hate it.
I heard it was very bombastic.
It was. When they were firing shots out of a tank in free fall from an airplane.
I see that, yeah.
Mhm.
And it actually had one of my favorite actors in it, Charlton Copley, which is the guy with the twangy accent.
And then some of the original A-Team characters, or the original actors for the A-Team characters, like showed up at the end in like end tag scenes where the guy who was playing face ran into the guy who originally played face, and he's like, "Hey, always take care of this," and he's pointing at his face because he was like the good-looking guy, the ladies' man, and then the guy who originally played Murdoch was in there too, as some doctor who was messing everything up, just acting like his old self. He was the same guy that played Barkley in the Star Trek shows.
Yep.
Animation says it was a cartoon. It got buried.
That's I looked it up. That's Charlton Copley. That's the actor I'm talking about. He's one of my favorite actors. He's African, in fact. He's from Africa.
Another great cartoon series was Gargoyles.
Yes, that actually
Yeah.
had some. There was some influence in my writing from that show.
It also is legendary for its cast.
Oh yeah.
The
from
animation.
Star
Yeah,
Trek.
it was Star Trek. You close your eyes and listen. You think you
Yeah.
got Star Trek on the TV.
Yep.
That show always ended too quickly.
Kahuna's going to see The Cult. All right, man. Have a good time. Just don't drink
Hmm.
any Kool-Aid while you're there.
Yeah, which cult? There's a lot now.
They're going to sing a song called Heaven's Gate. What?
Oh man, I was thinking the Oyster Cult.
The Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do.
Oh,
But
Police
seriously,
Academy.
what happened to the quality between back then and now? I mean, those shows are still selling DVDs. They're still selling them. People are still buying them on video on demand. What happened between then and now?
Everything's costlier now.
Gargoyles, the next generation.
yeah.
Money doesn't go as far. So you have to get cheaper and cheaper methods.
Everything's a rehash. That's the problem. There's no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing
there's
new.
no creativity.
There's too much rebooting going on. I don't mind the occasional reboot or, hey, remember the series? Let's bring it back. People liked it. I don't mind that. But when that's all they're doing all the time, it's like we're stuck in an endless loop.
Well,
They
it's
should
kind of
just-
like the difference between G1 Transformers and the Transformers Cybertron series. They took the ideas, but then they made it their own by developing a new situation, new concepts. But they're not even doing that anymore. They're rehashing the rehash.
Yes.
And they're doing
Yeah.
it without the nuance.
It's because, man, they don't have the appropriate understanding and reverence of what came before, nor do they care, man. You know.
Well, it seems like some of listening to some of them doing the movies and stuff. They think it's the coolest thing ever to have not gone and watched the original source material. Just do your own thing or something. I don't know.
Then that's fine. Just don't call it the old thing.
Yeah.
Give it a completely different name. Don't use the brand name to present something that isn't that has nothing to do with it. You know.
Well, like, you expect me to believe. Okay, so me being a normie, I am not a Tolkien fanatic. I am a normie. You expect me to believe just going, not reading the books, nothing like that, that Rings of Power is supposed to lead into Lord of the Rings?
With superhuman elves. Oh,
Seriously.
volcano went off in my face. I'm fine.
What? You mean an entire
Yeah,
landscape was created by a guy hitting a switch?
Yeah, the
Galadriel would have
sword or
been
whatever.
incinerated and doing that.
But that's my point though.
It actually hurts
Yeah.
the Tolkien brand.
Oh yeah.
It does. It cheapens it. But why? Where went from the gargoyles, the majesty, the art animation, the voice acting? It was all spot on to the shitty gumball situation or the Rings of Power versus Lord of the Rings that we are now.
Because they need to destroy civilization.
I think Kahuna has the secret of life right there. I just be in the forest and hope that's enough.
I'd suggest people start checking their change. I've actually found a silver proof, a
Ooh.
2007 silver proof quarter, and somebody just used it as a normal quarter, and it's worth I think what about $5 or $6.
Yeah. I usually don't use change. I'll get change and just stash it in a cup somewhere. And so somewhere I got a whole butt ton of change just piled up. I could probably put it all in a chest, make it look like pirate loot.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is currently because of the economy and everything, people don't understand what the commemorative set is or whatever, and so they just see money and they pull it out and then they go and spend it. And I think that's why they're showing up.
Just found this one.
Oh, nice. Give me a second. I'll blow your screen up.
Oh, Bitcoin.
A physical Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's just a token, obviously. It's not worth anything.
Oh, really?
It might be good in the arcade machine.
I have 2 of those, I think, that are 1 ounce gold rounds.
Okay. I'm back inside. What do you say we get into talking some Transformers 1?
Drop it like
Yeah.
How did
Let's
you
Kick
like
it.
it?
go.
I liked it. Had a few little issues here and there, but overall, it was done pretty well, and it had a lot of respect to. It made a lot of callbacks to G1 in there. They were respecting the history. This was fan service done right. There are
Well, kind of.
there are a couple little things in there. It's not perfect by any means, but
They changed the origins around.
yeah,
They mixed,
they
changed
didn't
a
use the
lot of
G1
the
origins,
around.
but
Well, not even that. So, like, the Autobots were originally from Iacon. They weren't the miners. The miners were most of the Decepticons. That's why they were so full of hate and stuff, was because they were treated like they were lower class for so long. With the exception of the Elite Guard, which was in there, which was Starscream's guard. However, in the Transformers Exodus novels, Starscream's Elite Guard is the one who betrays Sentinel, not the other way around.
yeah, I did like that fight between Megatron and Starscream. That was
All right, we should probably start from the beginning instead of go
Yeah.
straight into the deep nerd.
yeah. This is a completely new continuity. I know they're trying to say this leads into the Bayformer movies later on because I guess the overall higher up said no, I want it all one continuity, even though due to Sentinel's character in this and Sentinel Prime in the later movies, obviously there's a huge contradiction there. This was made to be its own thing, and as its own thing, it's awesome. They want to say, oh yeah, it's all one continuity. It's not.
So what's cool about this? All right, let's start. Let's even start further back than that. So the look and feel of Cybertron. If you guys ever played the War for Cybertron PlayStation and Xbox games, The design of Cybertron is based off of those. It has the railroads, it has the energon vets, it has the double layers. So they got the idea from the actual games. So there's a lot of callback to other stuff in the Transformers 1. So they took a little bit of lore from Generation 1, like the Quintessons and all of that. Took a little bit of lore from the newer ones, and then altered some of it to be a different version of it.
Yeah, I did. I liked how they presented Cybertron, and it showed like full environments on it and everything. Yeah, Kahuna, is that from 1886? No, I think that's just that's a silver dollar coin, right?
Yeah. Oh, I guess it's marked there in the corner. It looks like 1889, but it looks like a 6 on the coin.
I think it says 1884.
It says O, which I think would be New Orleans. Nice.
Welcome, Otter.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hello, Otter.
Hey, Otter.
How are you
Hey.
guys doing tonight?
I'm fine.
Doing
I
pretty
think
good.
we scared the guys and just how nerdy we really are.
Oh, I do that all the time. Welcome to the club.
How's your Transformers knowledge, Otter?
Decent enough. I don't know too much, but I'm a big fan of the original movie. I know bits and pieces of the classic series that came out. I also watched a few of the sequel series. A little bit of Energon, a decent bit of
Ugh.
Cybertron when I was like 10.
See, Cybertron was cool. Energon was just shit.
Cybertron was the one I really grew up with. I also watched a decent amount of the original series. I remember distinctly Megatron's plan to bring the moon closer so the Earth's climate would pretty much destroy itself.
I do you love some of those 1980s cartoon bad guys master plans, like that G.I. Joe intro we just played? What were they trying to do? Blow up the Statue of Liberty. That was we're gonna go in and blow it up.
Yeah, and
that was
Cobra
it.
Commander even successfully like lasered on the moon, like his face or Cobra
Lasered.
symbol or something. Yeah.
To my knowledge, Megatron's plan wasn't too bad, mostly just because he doesn't care about the planet all that much.
Jewish space laser.
Well, no, he just wants the Energon on the planet. He cares less about the life.
Yeah,
He just
so
wants the
it makes
power.
sense for him. It's one of the things I always liked about Transformers. There was always a little bit of a hard edge to it that I really liked. The first movie especially has that.
James just saw that for the first time.
But in Transformers 1, we got to actually get a good look at the planet Cybertron. The whole thing takes place on planet Cybertron.
Yeah,
And we got to see their city, the culture in this version of the Transformers. And when they get up to the surface, you even see different biomes that are just naturally occurring on the planet. And there was a mix of both organic vegetation and metallic,
Which
kind of biometallic.
Which in
so there's-
Transformers Cybertron, you see that a little bit too.
yeah, there's
Not as
actually a herd
much.
of deer, of Cybertronian deer. That was pretty cool.
you know, I ended up restarting Cybertron a few years back. I was expecting to hate it or something, for it to be one of those series where as a kid you love it, but as an adult you're like, I don't know about this. It was still surprisingly good. The CGI is aged a bit, but I didn't hate it or anything at all.
And the humans aren't annoying in that one.
No, they're really not.
That's a rarity, okay, guys? I can't watch Headmasters, even though it's all Japanese. The humans are too annoying.
I still don't like the concept of the headmaster. That was too wacko for me.
Yeah,
What was
it's
the one,
definitely Japanese.
Robotech? Is that the one where the Earthlings are trying to go attack space invaders or something, and they've got the big, huge spaceships to fly
Yeah,
around
that
in?
sounds about right. Yep.
That
Newer
sounds like Robo.
The toys were great for Robotech.
Well, first off, Chris Hemsworth is the voice of Orion Pax, later Optimus Prime. surprised me. Worked a lot better than I expected it to. And what was cool is as he went on and matured as a character throughout the movie, his voice was getting like he's taken on that bit of a. He started speaking a little more firmly as things were going, and his voice got a little bit deeper. And by the end, he truly sounded like a young version of Optimus Prime without ripping off Peter Cullen's voice. He didn't try and emulate. He didn't try to voice match him. He still sounded different, but he truly sounded like a younger, youthful Optimus Prime, and it worked out so well.
Oh,
What did you think of
nice.
that, Haji?
At first, it did weird me out, like listening to him. But as he, like, once he got his cog, and then when he finally got the Matrix leadership, yeah, it sounded like an Optimus Prime.
Yeah, he did that very well. D16, who eventually became Megatron, his
Later,
story arc was
Andrew.
interesting. I think his kind of scooting over to the dark side there was a little on the abrupt side. You saw it bit by bit. They tried to sprinkle it in a bit and then have it more and more,
problem
but they did it too quickly.
No, they gave my biggest problem with this. This is one of the irks I had with the movie. Spoilers. Anybody who doesn't want spoiled, warning. We're crossing the threshold now. See,
All right.
Andrew knows.
Thanks for stopping in, Andrew.
So
Yeah, and
what
I
it
do
was-
recommend you go see it. I like it enough to recommend it.
So what it was is they gave Orion Pax Megatron's original personality and D16 before he became Megatron. D16 Optimus's original personality. And so it kind of worked for Orion's favor going into Optimus because it made him more adventurous. It showed that he was more of a leader type and it wasn't just
Yeah.
thrusted on him.
We got to see him mature.
But at the same time, it didn't really fit D16's quote unquote Megatron because it didn't show. You saw a little bit of him transitioning into the Megatron we all know, but it didn't happen drastic enough that it wasn't quite believable of a transformation for me.
Yeah, I mean the catalyst was finding out they had been duped by his biggest current day hero. Spoilers, Sentinel Prime is the bad guy. I don't think anybody was blindsided by that, really. We were all kind of expecting it.
If we
Well,
all
yeah.
know Sentinel.
Yeah. But, him finding that out is like it shattered his view of reality. But his shift into his shift into that more Megatron type personality was a little too abrupt.
Because they made him too much the good guy because they wanted to sympathize with the bad guy. My guess is they made him a really good guy at the beginning, which was originally Orion, and then gave Orion that Megatron's slightly deceptive, slightly troublemaker attitude. But because of that, you couldn't really, you could see it, but it didn't feel natural of a transformation, I guess I should say.
Yeah. And again, it was
trying
that
to-
abruptness.
They were trying so hard to make it look like he lost everything to the point it snapped and broke something in him, but they didn't show it well enough. I don't know if
He
I'm making
quickly
sense.
became bitter, and at one point he was kind of torn. On one hand, he was snapping at Orion, going, "You know what? If we had just kept our head down and did what we were supposed to do, we wouldn't be in this mess." And he was mad because the truth pissed him off, and he almost lamented finding out the truth, like he would rather have just stayed in his old life, ignorant and happy. But on the other hand, since he lost his faith in Sentinel, he was like, I'm not going to trust anybody who isn't me anymore. And so it's like, on one hand, he doesn't want to go back to that. On the other hand, he never wanted to leave that illusion, and he became very bitter very quickly.
I think he just needed a little bit more development. I kind of get what they were going for, but at the same time, I had a feeling the writers were trying to get us to sympathize with him, and it didn't work either.
They leaned too much into the sympathize part at first. They didn't lean so hard into that, it probably would have worked better. I kind of had issue with Bumblebee as we were watching, while I was
I
watching.
thought he was pretty spot on,
Oh,
but I
I
played the
thought he was
video
hilarious.
games, and that was him in the video games.
Yeah, I
Like, even when
thought he
you're
was.
playing him as in the video games, he's talking to himself like that.
I thought he talked too much to be Bumblebee. I was like, are they just overcorrecting? Because I know they screwed up making him mute through all those Bayformer movies. I think they're overcorrecting here. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? This is a much younger Bumblebee. The Bumblebee personality I think of as a much younger, more immature. Maybe this is kind of spot on. That's where my, like I said, throughout the day as I was thinking about it, my opinion on him changed from they went too far with his talking to, you know what? Maybe that's right, because he's still very young. He's an immature Bumblebee.
Did anybody else on the panel play the War for Cybertron games?
I have not, no.
I haven't. I've always heard of them. I've always heard good things about them, but I haven't played them.
I played one once, and believe it or not, it was actually at the E3 where they were showcasing them, and I got to get hands on before it came out.
Oh, nice.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun.
All right, we got to talk about this. Alita 1.
Well, hold on. I kind of go back. So just one sec. So the guy in the Transformer games, the reason why I asked that is because they're in both the Wii version and then the War for Cybertron version, which is the Xbox and PlayStation 3 version. You played Bumblebee for a portion of one of the chapters of the game. And Bumblebee in the movie matches that guy to a T. Like he's hot rodding, talking to himself the whole time, insulting everybody he shoots, all of that. The guy, to give you a rough idea, the guy who plays Bumblebee in the game is the same voice as Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, that voice actor.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of took that same attitude over. So I thought Bumblebee was fitting in there because it was a much younger, but you could kind of hear it going on.
Badass and
Travis something. I forgot his name. Travis, what's the last name? He's one of the Funimation voice actors. But, yeah.
Guilty! What's up? Travis
Hell,
Willingham
Guilty.
is Bumblebee.
Hey, guilty.
Well, not in the movie, but in the video game, yes.
Yeah, the original G1 Bumblebee was, like I said, the guy who voiced Spider-Man in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That was the cartoon show where he was always teamed up with Iceman and Firestar, which I didn't realize Firestar was an original creation for that show. And in that show, she was one of the X-Men.
But yeah,
that I
so
didn't
for
know.
me, I saw Bumblebee that chatty and annoying from the beginning, but that's because I played him in the War for Cybertron games. So it did.
I mean, I
surprise
thought he
me
was
too
hilarious.
much.
Don't get me wrong. And like I said, as I thought about throughout the day, I was coming around to it like, you know what, that does make more sense than I initially thought. So my complaints on Bumblebee are now null and void.
He was pretty chatty in the cartoon, I think, too.
Yeah, but he wasn't quite as hyper. But
okay.
as been pointed out, this is a very young Bumblebee.
In his defense, though, in Transformers 1, though, he was isolated by himself for years.
Yes, good
talking
point.
to fake friends. The fact he found anybody else to talk to would totally spark
he
anything.
took the junk and built it into
Friends.
pretty much mannequins and talked to him. It was like Wilson in Castaway. That's how he was using them, and he named them all, and he gave them all like regular Cybertronian names. And then the one on the end, he's
Except
like, "And
for
this is
one.
Steve." Yeah, he goes, "And this is Steve." And And Orion and Dee look at him and go, "What kind of name is Steve? That's weird sounding." Oh yeah, the other thing about the plot, the bit of information that they found that was like what they've been looking for, it was actually in the junk that they used to make up Steve. That kind of bugged me. It was like, oh, it's just right there. It just happened to be there.
Well, but at the same time, it kind of moves the plot along.
That's exactly what it was. They needed to move the plot forward. I thought that was kind of dumb, but I was accepting of it. I was like, I get why they got to move it now, but it was just too easy to like. It just happened to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But
It is a kid's show. No, actually, there's a lot of swearing for it being a kid's show. Didn't you notice that?
What, Badassatron?
Well, Badassatron, I mean, they were swearing a lot and saying a bunch of different things.
I didn't notice any other cursing really all that much. Just the Badassatron, which made me laugh almost every time.
I know in the original movie there was quite a bit of cursing.
Yeah, there was too.
There's two cuss words in it.
Cybertron's being eaten. Oh shit.
Yeah, that was like, and the other one was Ultra Magnus said, "Damn."
Yeah, you don't normally expect to hear like shit put in a kids movie.
You know why they
normally.
did that? Because
Why
they
is that?
wanted it PG-13, so more college kids would be interested to come and watch.
Oh, that makes sense.
That was the whole reason they did that.
We'll have them say shit. The college kids come up in here.
Well, frankly,
Wow,
if I was in Spike's shoes at that moment, I would have said a lot more than just that. My trucker's mouth would have been fully engaged.
So what did you think of the Quintessons? What you saw from them?
I did not like their design.
You didn't? I actually thought it looked better, but that's just me.
It didn't land well with me, but I wasn't too put off by it. I wanted to see 86 movie designs on them. That's why that's a bias of my own. That's why I was trying to acknowledge. I was trying to acknowledge I have a bias on this one. Let it slide. But that's why I didn't like them. They borrowed from them, but it was kind of their own new version, you know?
I did like the fact that they actually brought up the T-Cogs. I think that's the first time in the cartoon series. Not so much the comic books, but the actual cartoons that the cogs have been a big deal.
No, they were addressed in Transformers Prime.
Oh, that's true. They were.
They stole
I didn't watch
Starscream.
all of Prime, so.
And I do like how there was. Were they? No, they weren't called AIM. There's some techie organization. They were trying to make their own versions, their own home built versions of Cybertronians, and they couldn't get them to transform. And they were working on the T-Cog, and they're like, Starscream showed up, and they're like, we don't understand. We've replicated this perfectly. Why isn't it working? And Starscream said, the T-Cog isn't technology, it's biology. You can't just build one. And that's when they pulled out all their super high-tech gear, knocked out Starscream, ripped out his T-Cog, and booted him. And so he went through half that season without the ability to transform. But I like how they addressed it, saying it's biology, not technology. I thought that was pretty cool.
And then they reinforced that in the movie too. No, I forgot it. I only watched like the first couple episodes of Transformers Prime. I couldn't get over the way they looked like Bayformers, so I couldn't get into the series.
Yeah, the series was far better than Bayformers. But I was so sick of how they always were making Bumblebee quiet, mute. It's just I don't know why they kept doing that, but
they not only muted Bumblebee, but they gave him Hotshot's personality. So they should have just named him Hotshot.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
Did they ever introduce Hotshot into the Bayformers?
No,
I don't think so.
They didn't.
They had a lot in there that just died.
Well, like they put Sideways in for one movie, and he died the most shitty pansy way ever. And Sideways and his twin brother were freaking amazing. Sideways and Sunspike?
Sunstreaker and Sideswipe.
Sunstreaker. Yeah, sorry.
I was like, who's Sideways?
No. It's
Isn't that a country song?
Sunstreaker and Sideswipe.
I just remember the first Bayformers movie, it introducing a lot of Transformers all at once, and it gives zero time to flesh them out before it starts killing them all.
And
I know, right?
it had the same vibe as introducing the Ninja Turtles in the first movie.
All I really remember is Shia LaBeouf yelling Optimus.
A lot.
No.
Optimus!
Strangely enough,
Wait,
Shia LaBeouf is probably one of the best parts of those movies. He's
Right?
actually
I know,
pretty
right?
good.
Now, I've got to talk about her. I was very torn. There's some things I really liked and some things I could not stand.
She pushed
Alita
the
won.
envelope of Girl Boss. She pushed the envelope. They tried to make her like Galadriel Rings of Power Girl Boss, but at the same time they're like, no, Optimus is bigger. So like they forced her to ground herself.
Yeah, it's like you want her to be likable, and she was actually very unlikable. She was very unlikable at first. She was all about she wanted her next promotion. She had her goal, and nothing else mattered. To the point where she was ripping Orion Pax a new one for stopping to save Jazz from a collapsing mine. It's like, you broke protocol. It's like, I saved Jazz's life, but you broke protocol. I'm going to get fired now. And she did. But that's all she cared about was her next promotion. That was it. She was very unlikable. She did change throughout the series, but she still kept that ego. That ego never quite got into check. And then at one point, she tried to give Orion a
Pep talk.
Yeah.
He even makes fun of her for it too.
Yeah,
He's
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, she goes, look, I'm better than you in every way. In this way, that way, that the other way. But you have something I don't, and that's optimism. And at the end of it, Orion looks at her and goes, you've never given a pep talk before, have you? It's like he called her on it to her face right after. I'm like, well, at least they didn't just put it out there and let it be there like that's supposed to be normal, you know? But
yeah,
she
she's
did get
kinda like
better.
Princess Peach in Mario movie, where she's like, she really pushes the line and flirts with it,
Yeah. She did get
but
better
she doesn't
toward the end.
cross it.
I'll see, guys. I think I figured out how we're going to save tomorrow. Okay. What you do is you blend John Wick, you create a fifth movie, and then you reveal that it's actually a hidden G.I. Joe movie. And John Wick was in the G.I. Joe verse all along. And then after 2 movies of that, when it gets stale, they uncover the Transformers. And now we have John Wick in the Transformers universe.
Now, the movie they used, or the music they used in that, was from the Prime series. I was a little disappointed. I wanted a Stan Bush song in there, and it
So are we
didn't.
going to be calling this the
But it
Wick
did
Formerverse
get
now?
referenced. The what? The Wick Formers?
Yeah, the
Wick
Wick's
Formerverse.
Formerverse.
Yeah.
Well, like I said in Transformers: Rise of the Beast, the way that they ended it, because his brother is sick with cancer, the GI Joes actually contact him trying to get a hold of the Transformers, the kid, and
Really?
pay for his brother's surgery, and hands off a GI Joe card. You throw John Wick there in the middle of that, Marty got in the meeting, and you got it.
Like, he finds out his car from the very first one was a Transformer all along. It was like a dormant Transformer. He turns it alive. He turns, it comes alive. And it's actually, what's his name? I completely forgot his name. The one you said Bumblebee stole his personality. That's his car.
Hot
Hot
Rod?
Shot.
There you go.
Hot
He's
Shot.
Hot Shot. There you go. His car's Hot Shot. A dormant Hot Shot.
Animation
Yeah.
Overload says G.I. Wick.
G.I. Wick Formers.
No, Wick Former Joe.
He drives around in Hot Shot, and it's kind of like a Knight Rider thing.
Well, another thing I liked was the character design for the side characters. We saw Jazz, we saw Wheeljack. They were they're far more faithful to the G1 versions that I thought they would be on those. And then when we found the High Guard, who would later become Megatron's Decepticons, Starscream was in charge of them. And what's his name? Buscemi? Steve Buscemi was the voice of Starscream, and he
Really?
freaking nailed it. He was
think he
awesome as Starscream.
He's got that rasp.
Yeah. And then during the fight with Megatron grabbed him by the neck and squeezed and damaged his voice box a bit, and it got slightly more raspy, and he sounded almost exactly like G1 Starscream from then on. It was pretty cool. Shockwave and Soundwave's designs were spot on. We saw the Seekers. Soundwave's voice, what used to be a Frank Welker, he would do that Dr. Claw voice, where he would talk like this. And they would run it through a machine, and it came out with that melodic sound that we remember from the old G1 cartoon.
Oh wow, okay.
They
think
did
if you look
that
up the
with
cast
they did that
for-
without harmonizing it, so it just sounded like Soundwave just sounded like Dr. Claw.
I think if you look up the cast for the original Transformers movie, about a third of the voices are just Frank Welker.
Yes. Well, one of Frank Welker's nicknames was the Voice God.
They
Well,
got
John
Orson
Bailey
Welles.
was Soundwave, though.
What's that?
Is it John Bailey or Bailey? I don't know. He was Soundwave.
Well, the original Soundwave was also Frank Welker.
Yeah.
And they got Orson Welles, I believe.
Orson Welles stole the show for that movie. He was so good.
And he, from what I understand, he really didn't know what he was doing. He's like, I guess I'm voicing the planet, you know?
Oh, he hated it, I think. He didn't care one bit for it, but he ended up stealing the show regardless.
Yes, he
This may
did.
have been towards his I don't give a damn years.
Well, it was his final performance.
Okay, there you go. That's at that point it was all about the booze, really.
And then when Megatron was reformed into Galvatron by Unicron, Frank Welker stopped voicing the character, and that's where Leonard Nimoy took over the voice for the remainder of the movie.
That was
However, when, they
also a
went to,
surprising name to
Yeah.
see in the credits.
when they went on to season 3, Frank Welker took the role back up. I guess because they couldn't afford to keep Leonard Nimoy for the season, but
Understandable.
and I would have preferred they just stuck with Frank Welker anyway, because the dude is just good at what he does.
Oh, he's super talented. I
Yes.
mean,
He was the original voice of Freddy and Scooby Doo, still does it. And then when Don Messick passed away, he took over the voice of Scooby.
his resume is more extensive than Mel Blanc.
Yeah, he was Nibbler in Futurama.
I did not know that.
It's very extensive, very, very extensive.
Well, it's like Tara Strong. Every other Hasbro character she's done.
Yeah, I guess the voice acting world is small.
One thing in there that I really liked when the High Guard captured them, and they said that no, they're not with Sentinel Prime. They're out here trying to stop them. Soundwave scanned their brainwaves, said they're being honest, and Starscream's like, no, that just means they believe what they're saying. That doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. But I do like how they brought in the 13 primes from the Cybertron series and actually solidified them better. And then it does bug me that they changed a lot of the Autobots' origins and made them more of the Decepticons' origins, but it makes sense, and they're trying to go with a new route for a new generation.
Yeah. But I mean, when they were in the mines near the beginning, and Orion's like, "Oh man, I can feel the power in me today. I think I'm gonna drill all the way down and get that energon. We're gonna touch Primus himself." And Alita says, "You don't have the power or the touch." I was like, Stan Bush reference, and that's why I was kind of disappointed when we didn't get a Stan Bush song in there anywhere. I was expecting.
Yeah, they're closing
I'm
credit.
glad they at
rap
least
songs is
acknowledged it.
annoying.
What's that?
the closing credit rap song was annoying.
Yeah, I guess that comes down to do you like rap or not?
That's pretty weird. I mean, Transformers rap. I mean, you know, it's kind of a staple of Stan Bush right there. Is that classic '80s rock?
You kind of got it a little bit with certain openings, but not really.
That's like if you were
Yeah.
to change the soundtrack of freaking Star Wars. Hey, please just drop a rap song in Star Wars. See how it vibes.
Yeah, it's just one of those. But overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. It was for the fact that they're going back to the origin that everybody knows, because they mixed a lot of the new generation with the old generation to try to make it so that people of all ages would like it, and still start off with a new, trying to reboot the franchise after nearly killing it. It wasn't bad. I don't regret seeing it, unlike Rise of the Beast. That one was yeah, I'll never watch that.
I'm
one.
sorry I sent you to that, Maji. I really am.
Ah, no, you're good. But we have something to compare this one to, so it's kind of a good thing.
Is
So this
Rise
was
of the
definitely
Beast,
a vast improvement over any of the previous recent Transformers stuff, and
Is
they
Rise of the
actually
Beast
focused
worse
on the
than-
characters.
Maji, is Rise of the Beasts worse than Revenge of the Fallen?
They're pretty equal.
Really? I didn't know
So,
it was that
okay.
bad.
So Rise of the Beast one, the final battle makes absolutely no damn sense because
There's a lot of
so-
parts of that movie that make no sense.
yeah. Well, okay, so just so that the Gen 1 fans know. So you remember the Generation 1 Spike gets that weird suit in the movie? The weird spacesuit?
Yeah.
Rise of the Beast, they give it to the kid. Or, well, he's not really a kid. He's like 18, 19. They give it to him, and he's able to hold the Optimus Prime by the hand and keep him from flying up into a Nova.
What?
I am not making this up.
It's Rise
It
of the
really is
Beast.
cartoon logic then.
It is a cartoon, though, right?
No, it's the live
Oh.
action Beast Wars Transformer movie.
Okay, because I knew they were introducing the Dinobots, but I
So
did
what
stick
it
around
is
for
is Mirage was getting his ass kicked, and so he gave his body over to the human, and the human literally put it on like Spike's suit and was able to hold down a freaking full transformer, and that's why they're being sucked through this friggin' or trying to be sucked up through this it was supposed to be a warp gate, a Stargate. Or what is it called in Transformers? It's
Space Bridge.
yeah, that thing. But so yeah, it's so stupid. And then like I said, they put in a bunch of political messaging in the beginning, and of course the evil humans are all a certain type of look, and
Hey, do you
it's
know
just-
Megatron supports the patriarchy?
yeah, pretty much. But I mean, there was a lot of pointless racist jokes in there that they could have just gotten rid of. It was just stupid, and it didn't help they were feeding stereotypes. But anyway, we'll ignore that part of the show.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at the plot for Rise of the Beast versus the
Okay.
plot in Cybertron, it was night and day difference. Sorry.
No problem. I have no problem admitting your Transformer knowledge is far superior to my own. Most of mine is
Mm.
stuck in G1.
Mine is pretty limited as well.
Well, it's
I
not
have
even
more
that.
than the average bear, but it's all in the original series. Most of the newer stuff I know very little about.
Yeah, I'm at the same level as you, Wrangler. I just watched
Although-
the first one.
The Cybertron trilogy, I did enjoy Starscream actually having a redemption arc in that, and then they kind of undid it later. But
Yeah, that's Starscream.
I always thought Starscream was one of the more. He was probably one of the most interesting Decepticon characters. He's always like in this middle ground. I don't know. I
Hmm.
always enjoy that.
But I really liked his presentation in Transformers 1. I thought Magitron.
Magitron.
I thought he was very well on model, and Steve Buscemi nailed it for the voice.
Yeah. But sadly, from what I understand, unless the Cybertron 1 gains legs through word of mouth, which it very well could, because it is it's not bad movie. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad.
It's got
I
issues,
think
but
the
I mean, it's far
franchise,
better than everything else we've seen lately. And I
yeah,
liked how it was character driven.
Is it woke?
no,
Not
well,
really, no.
well, Lita's iffy.
Okay.
Lita's the one that pushes the envelope. It's kind of like did you ever see the Mario movie? The Mario Brothers movie, James?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. She pushes the envelope just as hard as Peach does. Where she doesn't cross the line, but damn it, they come pretty close.
They
But
want
she herself even got better throughout the movie. It's
Mhm.
like,
She did
'cause
change.
she was straight up a jerk at the beginning, and she mellowed out and actually gained a lot of respect for those that she was poo-pooing all over originally. Animation says he'll check it out eventually.
But yeah, unless this movie grows by word of mouth, I honestly think the Transformers franchise is dead.
I hope this one
Especially
does,
since-
because they really did try to deliver a good product on this one, no doubt. I like the
Well,
design. I like
Hasbro-
the personalities for the most part. There's a lot more here than in most movies I've seen in a long time.
Hasbro shot themselves in the foot with their toys by making them so cheap that kids don't want to play with them. They can't
No, the ones I
transform
had were
without
made out of
breaking.
metal.
Yeah. So a lot of kids don't even want the toys anymore. You know how much goes on clearance all the
Wow.
time?
All of it.
Most of it, yeah. Only select characters are even bought, and even then it's not as like if you go to a toy store or even just a regular store, go down the toy section, the amount of space for Transformers, Beast Wars, not Beast Wars, Star Wars, all of that is literally like a narrow foot and a half at most. Those franchises are so damaged because of how bad the media has been around them for so long.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm truly hoping that Paramount backs off on their trying to force this to be connected to the Bayformers. Because if they stick with this new continuity and stick with what they've done here and even improve on it a little bit, I think they could really reignite the franchise. But you're right. It's going to depend on word of mouth because people have already been burnt out on the Bayformers and how cut and paste dumb they are. It really did hurt. I mean, not like it's just not just what you said, Maji, about on the toy end, but on the movie entertainment end, they really did do themselves a disservice and kind of ran it into the ground. This, if they stick with it and stick with the quality and maybe even improve a little, I think they got a potential to really revitalize it.
Depends if they could keep their damn politics out and remember that they're to entertain. That's what the money comes from. It's the entertaining part.
Yep. And there was a lot of entertainment in here. I did like Orion and Dee's banter quite a bit. It was out, as you said, the kind of role reversal kind of where Orion was the more rebellious one and D16 was more into follow the protocol and acted far more mature. But every time he got pulled into one of Orion's antics, he ended up having a good time with it, as much as he begrudgingly had to admit it. Like in that race scene, that was a riot. I loved.
I thought it was funny. It was Chromia that kicked their ass.
And then
Which is kind of fitting if you know her character.
yeah, and it was like the whole race scene was was it was kind of a combination of Mario Kart and F-Zero.
But if you played the game, it's a lot like how the game was played too. Like the trains, the energon valves, all of that. That's how a lot of the game was designed. So there was some continuity in that, especially if you played the old school games.
By the way, did you notice the biblical parallel with the as far as the energon flowing from Primus? According to in New Jerusalem, the river will flow from the throne of God, and it'll be flowing with living waters. I thought that was a direct biblical parallel right there.
I don't know if they meant it to be or not, but yeah, I
Probably
saw that.
not, but that's as soon as I saw that, that's what I thought of was the river of living waters. That's all I could think about.
Well, we know it doesn't last long because the energon will dry up again during the wars because they're divided.
No, biggest spoilers. What did you think about how Megatron took out Sentinel? That was pretty brutal.
It was fitting. I especially liked how it was Sentinel's reason why Megatron got branded in the first place.
And when the arm cannon came out, I was like, oh yeah, there it is. And they were very much honoring a lot of the G1 designs with these characters, which they did not do in the Bayformers. Well, the whole time I'm like, is that Ironhide? I'm not sure. And then when he got his T-Cog and his look changed a little bit, I'm like, it is Ironhide. I was a little disappointed by his voice, but I do like how the characters looked like the characters I was familiar with.
Mm-hmm. Well, even before you heard Jazz's name, I'm like, whoa, that's Jazz.
Yeah. I was like, they're going to kill him already? No. He lost his leg, but being Cybertronian, that can be replaced.
That's not a big deal.
Yeah. Getting out alive is all they need. The rest can be rebuilt. We as squishy humans don't have that option.
Yeah, the only thing they can live without a T-Cog, but they're not Transformers without it. But yeah, as long as their spark is intact, they technically can be rebuilt.
Yeah. And I was a little torn on calling themselves Transformers. I was like, I thought they would just call themselves Cybertronians.
Yeah.
But the fact that a lot of them were robbed of their ability to transform right before being born. And yes, they say the word born, so clearly there's some process.
That part bugged me there.
That didn't bug me. Born. I don't know what their reproductive process is for this version of the Cybertronians.
Yeah. Why did it bug you, Mark?
Michael Bay answer that question, for the love of God.
I don't think Michael Bay had anything to do with this.
They put his name as a producer, but I don't think he had anything to do with it.
Yeah, that's more because he been so attached to the project for so long. He's probably like they're contractually obligated to have his name on any.
There was also surprisingly another name that stood out in the credits. Steven Spielberg showed up, not as a director, but as a producer.
Huh.
It doesn't surprise me, actually.
I didn't notice that. Well, like I said, as soon as the credits rolled, I ran to the bathroom.
All right, guys, we're done spoiling it for you. But as you could tell from two Transformer nerds, we kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I do recommend it. Maji, how about you? Do you recommend, or are you kind of in the middle?
It's worth seeing. I think it's worth seeing. I don't know if you want to see it in theater or not, but it was enjoyable. It might be a one-time watch, but it doesn't piss me off like some of the Bayformer
I might actually
movies.
Go for a second watch. I'm undecided on that, or I just
maybe a $5
to come out. But I really did have a good time watching it. Much better time than I was expecting, because I went into it kind of apathetic, and I was kind of blown away. I liked the backgrounds. I liked how they how they let us get a good look at Cybertron and how some of it works. They didn't explain how
Yeah.
some of it works, like the landscape shifting and stuff. But I mean, they let you infer it. I think it has something to do with maybe Primus was shifting his shoulder or something. I don't know. It's like, I'm a little uncomfortable. Scoot over. There we go. No, because landscapes would suddenly shift out of nowhere, and that's what made mining so dangerous.
Mm-hmm. No, you didn't care for the Quintessons, but I actually like the fact that they went back to the Quintesson Wars.
I'm glad they included them. Yes, I think I was really with seeing so much respect to G1 designs. I was hoping to see a G1 design on the Quintessons, which I didn't. I think that's why I didn't like it. I set an expectation that wasn't promised to begin with. In my own
Guilty,
head.
even if you're not a Transformer fan, it's got enough of that little whimsical feel to it. It's just kind of fun to just enjoy and watch.
Yeah,
There is
and
quite a
what's
bit of
nice
swearing
about
in
this
it, though.
is this is a good entry point into Transformers if you're new to it. But if you've been around the franchise like me and Maji, you will see enough callbacks and Easter eggs that are actually quite respectful of the IP history, I thought. And
Yeah, but at the
Okay.
same
so
time, they were
there's
trying to
something
be
there for long
slightly
timers
different.
and new.
That's good.
Yeah, they were trying to be original without disrespecting. Granted, but John Bailey was one of the voices, and he was one, and I think it's John Bailey. It's something Bailey, epic voice guy. But he's
Yeah, who
been
did he
involved in the
voice?
franchise forever, huh?
Who did he voice again?
I'm trying to remember. I thought it was Soundwave and Shock.
Yeah, I saw all the Seekers there. The like Dirge was in there, and the ones that look, the Seekers that are the same body design as Starscream, Thundercrack, and Skywarp.
Mhm.
And then there's three others. There's Dirge and two more different body style of Jet, but they were in there too. And I liked how you could recognize the characters for who they were without even
Mhm.
having them explain. It's like, oh yeah, I know who that is. Even if I can't remember his name from years ago when I was a kid and I watched him, but I recognize him. You turn on Bayformers, you could see this. Oh, this is a whole new character. Who is this? I'm Ironhide. What? You look nothing like Ironhide.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I thought there was a good choice alt mode for Ironhide and Bayformers, but he looked and acted nothing like Ironhide.
So yeah, there's our nerd take. Sorry if we took over the entire stream.
I have no idea why you always have the insensitive need to apologize.
Yeah,
She's almost Canadian.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
for apologizing.
This is a Mexican superhero, Goya Man. If you know, you know.
Oh, I thought
Goya
Mexican wrestlers
Man.
and superheroes had full face coverings.
It's Goya Man. He can't afford the full face covering.
Oh, gotcha.
I need to rewatch Blank Man one day.
Goya is a very popular Mexican canned food.
Oh yeah, we got him on the shelves all over here too, James.
Yeah, they tried to do this thing back in the day where I guess Goya didn't go woke, and they were like, "Oh, we need to boycott Goya." People are like, "I always buy Goya, but I'm not gonna buy him after this." Like, no one's like, and all the Goya people who buy it is like, this is a cultural staple. You don't, you have a better chance banning Air than you would banning Goya in the Mexican community.
You ever see that?
No, I thought Bud Light would never die the way it did.
You guys ever see that Penn and Teller show BS? I think it was on Netflix. They went around with a petition to ban. There was some chemical name. They said it's in this, it's in that, it's in pesticides, it's in, and like, oh
water.
yeah, we want to ban that. We want it. Yes, it was water, and everybody was just signing a petition to ban it. He's
Yep.
like, see, you can't trust these things.
That's funny.
No, I remember really enjoying that show quite a bit.
Yeah, especially their recycle show. I was like, I knew it. We waste a lot more energy than we would save in a lot of the recycling we're doing.
Well,
Wasn't
some of the recycling doesn't even go to the plant. I mean, Michael Moore did a show a while back where he followed the recycling truck, and it just went to the
Went to the landfill.
Yeah, same landfill.
Yeah.
Can you guess what this Mexican superhero is called?
Potato?
Butter?
The Beaner.
The Beaner.
Oh, is he the jumping beaner?
The Beaner will stop crime.
Looks like a crumpled dried turd.
Imagine that
Big
chasing
hungry.
after you, yelling in Spanish with a spatula, with his mighty spatula of justice.
No, wouldn't it be a La Chancla?
That's what's on his feet. He throws them at you like projectile weapons.
Hell have no fear,
like
like
in,
grandma with a La Chancla.
Like in Austin Powers, the guy comes up and throws a shoe and hits him in the face like, ow. That's your thing? You throw your shoes at people?
That was a funny one. Shoes could hurt. Shoes hurt. You got the right with them.
I know there's quite a few people I've talked to over the last few years who hate the Austin Powers movies. We don't get along very well, them and I.
All right, Animation. Good to see you tonight, man. Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, see animation.
Night, guys.
It's about that time, I suppose.
Good night, animation.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close there.
Yep.
But I do gotta do this one more
Anybody else
time.
got something to keep?
Me Grimlock kick butt.
Grimlock was my favorite Transformer in that movie.
Yeah, he was so cool, dude. I had the toy when it came out.
You clearly had.
That was the peak
issues.
of my life, I'll tell you.
He actually became leader of the Autobots for a while in the comics. And surprise, surprise, he wasn't that great at it.
Yeah, I'm
Good
not
man.
really surprised, but who cares? It's Grimlock.
The
It's
power
Grimlock.
went to his head. Didn't he wear a crown for a while when he was in charge?
I think so. I remember seeing one on it for him in one of the collector's editions.
Do they still make decent sized toys for Transformers?
You
Honestly, not
have
sure.
two versions. You have the
About 10 years ago,
Shit-tacular.
they actually made some. Few years ago, they actually kind of redid some. They released a. I had a Starscream one that I bought that looked like G1 Star, and when you transformed him, he actually looked like the cartoon character. It was pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah,
you were going to say,
they-
Margie?
Hasbro went cheap, so there's two different versions of the Transformers. There's the shit-tacular, cheapy box shelf that you pick up at the normal store now, but you don't even get to see the quality of the toys in these because they're eco-friendly, lack of plastic. In other words, they used it to hide how poor quality these damn things look.
Oh,
And
wow.
then you got the quote-unquote collector's edition because Hasbro is using the adult children who I have never talked. I have no idea how big my collection was at one point. But they start to go into like hundreds to thousands of dollars to make the higher quality ones.
Oh, wow.
People
Did they ever make a proper G1 Unicron at any point? I know they tried a couple times. I don't know if they ever actually did
They
it.
had during Cybertron, they released a Primus version that was actually really cool. Cybertron that transformed into Primus, but I don't think they released it for Unicron.
I mean, still, that G1 Unicron is like the best looking Unicron design out of all of them. Again, that might just be my bias, but I've seen later versions of Unicron and just nothing compared to the awesomeness of the Orson Welles version.
Yeah, I don't know on Unicron, but I did see the Transformer Cybertron Primus one. That one was like friggin' highest level because they used to rank. I don't know if they still do because I stopped collecting toys about 10 years ago. But they used to rank the level of difficulties for transformations, and Cybertron was one of the higher ones.
I'd imagine it's a planet transforming into a giant planet-sized robot.
Yeah. It was
I remember they
huge,
came out
too.
with one that called Six Shot, and he had 5 different alt modes. And the commercial was these kids going, "I figured out 4. I figured out all of them. I figured out 3." You know, it's like they're all trying to figure out all the different alt modes without looking at the instructions.
So, out of all the Transformers ones that I had, there was one I could never get to transform. It was from the 2000 series. Actually, it was 1999. Transformers: Robots in Disguise. It was on the same time frame as. It was actually right after the 90s X-Men. Like it would air immediately after the X-Men show aired. And his name was Skybite. He was a freaking shark, but because he was curved at an angle, I could never, even when I had him years later, I could never get him to transform because the way he was bent.
I think I might have broken a few by trying to figure it out on my own and not doing it right and snap things, but
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to follow the little manual that showed you how to transform sometimes. There was a few that
man,
was
but they got
complicated.
skimpy on some of those manuals. They would like skip steps. I learned that very quickly when you're a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Lego skips steps too sometimes.
I like, okay, so how did this happen from this panel to this panel? Then you find out there's 2 steps missing between each panel, and you're like, how the hell do they expect a kid to get this?
It's kind
I
of like
remember
those.
on the original Seekers, I would always try to get that cone to bend back so it would look like just their head, like in the cartoon show, instead of having this big point on their head that wasn't there. And I think I ended up breaking Starscream. Yeah, Starscream has met his match. A stubborn kid trying to transform him without reading the directions.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Now that's truly
I-
a formidable challenge.
Wrangler, I think you and I are banned from talking about Transformers for a while.
Well, all right, fine. Let's talk about Metroid.
So how's that
right.
Dread replay coming along?
Oh, I did that a couple times. Now I'm just going back and 100%ing it again.
Hell yeah.
That still takes me a while because I don't remember. I remember my route to get to the end, and I can handle all the bosses. I know people say it's tough, but once you learn the patterns, it's probably one of the easiest Metroids due to the controls being so good. But I
Well,
don't
you just
remember
got
where
Lore
every.
Riders and-
I said
Yeah, Lord
Metroid and you
Raiders.
showed up. Yeah. Oh, the Chaos has also joined us. Because, man, this is my 2nd or 3rd time being here. And hi. Good to see you, the Chaos.
Hi, Chaos.
And
Yeah,
by
the
the
Lore Raiders.
Raiders.
Someone say Metroid? Yeah, I tend to say that quite a bit. Yeah, but I don't remember where all the items are, so it'll take me a couple hours to go through and 100%. Actually, yeah, I can't remember where stuff is, so I got to go. I just wander around trying. I'm missing one item on this area. I can't find it, and spend 45 minutes digging that up. But if I'm just running through to the end, I can get there in under 2.5 hours. I think my best time was about 2 hours 17 minutes to get to the end. Skunk says, "Who are y'all's favorite Transformers?" I got a few. I really like Cup from G1 Cup. He was cool, the old dude. But I also got a big kick out of Power Glad. He was always fun.
Soundwave was always my favorite.
Jeez. Did you seriously just make James?
Representing.
Oh my god.
Okay, for those of you just joining in, so my original YouTube avatar was this. It was a freaking pony. So that's where that came from.
Next thing
The
you know, we're
wonders
going to be
of
commissioning Neutron Board to make a piece for you.
Well, that's what this was. So the reason why it was my original avatar was because when Friendship Was Magic was out, I liked it. I wasn't a big fan, but I liked it. And one of my friends had this commissioned, taking my favorite colors and then designed my cutie mark, or the cutie mark, which is what they call the little symbol on the ass. But so Fred made it for me, and so I'm like, well, I needed I would put it on my YouTube avatar because I'm like, well, screw it, might as well. Somebody put some time into it, and it became that for almost 3 years, 2 years,
2.5,
and
and
then, about 2.5.
You recently changed it, and now you seem to flop back and forth between the two quite a bit.
Yeah, I do, just for fun. Well, this is going to be on the inside cover of whenever I finish the book. So
Awesome.
that's why this is here. Animated Moon drew this for me.
Oh, nice.
All right. I guess it's that time to start wrap up. So, Maji, what would you like to show for this week?
Well, we could always chill for a drink with Crazy. He is crazy, but lately he's been doing a lot of anime reviews. If you go watch his reviews and leave comments, he'll actually do live shows reading the comments and responding to them. Royce is a cool guy. That's actually, I think, how we all met, was through a drink with Crazy.
That's where I met all you guys. Yeah. And since you mentioned that, I'll just play this real quick. Comic Shop Wednesdays. Weekly live stream starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, hosted by Royce from A Drink with Crazy, where he goes over upcoming books, comics, games, and more. Link in the description.
Yeah, he'll go over any indie projects. So if you got your own book or project or something, every Wednesday, if you look up his Twitter feed and post it under the Comic Shop Wednesday tab, he'll actually go and do kind of like a little window shop. And if the panel likes it, they'll go and do a much in-depth look into it. Yep, and he makes that post almost every Wednesday over on the X Twitter. So if you look up A Drink with Crazy over there, that's where you'll find it. And if you have a project, list it there. And Wednesday night for his show, he goes through all the posts and they check them out and they vote on them. Usually, about 4 get selected for a deeper look, and then everybody gets to vote on their favorite for that night. The power of many. Oh, man. Ouch.
Wow.
All right, James.
Starting off with the guy in the middle, I guess. You can check out my stuff at World Without End Lore at Substack.com. Or it's worldwithoutendlore.substack.com. I'm going to be releasing a short story I'm currently editing next month for the Spookums. And I am currently working on a novella. And I also have a lovely stream tomorrow that's going to kick off our stream in Tuesdays. You can check that out at World Without End Lore on YouTube. I'm going to be streaming with the Black Knight and RH Snow, and we have a number of topics. We've yet to truly land on one, but I got a few to discuss with the panel. And anybody wants to hear us discuss any topics, feel free to ask. We're always open.
Nice.
So that's where you can find all my crap.
All right. And now over to the Water Weasel.
Well, hello. You can check out my own writing. It is The Curse of the Star Raids, the first in the Steel and Stormbright saga, over on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I'm getting back into work on a review as well as a video I'm currently starting on one of Kurt Russell's movies that I have quite a bit of attachment to. On top of that, I'm working on book 2, getting all of that polished up, getting into the later stages of it. And you can also find me on YouTube, where I usually do streams on Fridays. This last Friday, in fact, I did a Dwarf Fortress stream, which turned out to be quite a lot of fun. So that's where you can find me.
All right. And Raven Nevermore.
Well, that was the book that I actually started off with tonight. So I will say go check out, what is it? Dang it, now I can't remember what it was. The hamster, the new hamster investigator.
Sherlock Hamster.
Sherlock
Yes,
Hamster.
Sherlock Hamster. That's a good book.
All right. Frederick Guimon.
Yes, IMakeComics.com is the address that'll take you to the website of RatelComic.com, where I work on where I've got a superhero story to show you there. So you can see samples of the art, you can see progress on the work, and I also do commissions. I just finished the penciling on James's commission here, and I'll be starting the inking pretty soon. And I've got a little kitty cat who's hungry as well, so I want to go feed him. You can also find me on YouTube on Tuesdays with an art stream where I'm joined by Billy Bobsack and Lord Otter, as well as James and Wrangler and some of the panelists
Hey-ho.
you see on here as well.
All right.
It's gonna be very
And you
fun.
can find, what's that? What's that, James?
It's going to be very fun.
Usually is. You can find my stuff on Amazon. There's Haley Star Bad Kitty and the follow-up Bad Kitty Haley's World. I am currently working on book 3 and 4, which is Mystified Investigations and United States Stellar Marshals. When they'll be available, I'm not sure. I'm going to try and have them both complete and release them simultaneously. But also, you can check out my Substack, Frequency Studios, and I'm hoping soon to have a short story or two going up there. Also, you can find me on the X Twitter, Truth Social, and Minds, all under Frequency Studios, and of course, the channel here. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. It was good to see you all here, and we got to geek out over some Transformers. But I got to shut it down now before I start talking about more Metroid, and then this will go on forever. So if you enjoyed this presentation, hit the like, and if you didn't, appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time, and God bless.
Bye-bye, world.
Bye.
Goodbye,
night.
rationality.
Squeak, squeak.
Squeakums.
Squeakums.